Too young for LSD? This'll do the trick. Seriously, you cannot convince me there were not some kind of hallucinogens involved in the making of this movie. Hello there, and welcome to the Real Obscure Show. I'm Jeff, your host, and on this show, I'll be your guide through our countless journeys into the magical world of obscure, and sometimes not so obscure, cinema. And let me tell you, I can't think of an era more riddled with forgotten relics of the silver screen than the 1970s. And today's movie is no exception. But first, time for a little history. For those of you who don't know, Raggedy Ann is an iconic rag doll originally created by Johnny Gruelle in 1915 for his daughter Marcella, and she appeared in the series of children's books beginning in 1918, with her brother, Raggedy Andy, being introduced in the second book in 1920. Since then, the two have become widely recognized cultural icons, and have been adapted numerous times for different mediums. But in 1977, they jumped onto the big screen in the animated musical adventure, Raggedy Ann and Andy, Musical Adventure. Directed by renowned animator Richard Williams, known for his work on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and his unfinished masterpiece, The Thief and the Cobbler, and with music by Sesame Street alumnus Joe Raposo, it would seem like a harmless enough film, right? Right?
The reason that is 'cause I love you.
This is Raggedy Ann and Andy. We open with a live-action prologue, where a little girl, appropriately named Marcella, comes home with a Raggedy Ann doll in tow. As we arrive in her room, we get a look at all her other toys, ranging from cute to eerily and overly detailed to just downright terrifying, and she briefly leaves us to our opening credits sequence. Unusually, rather than listing the characters by their voice actors, the credits name all of the people who animated each particular character. At the very least, it's really nice to see a film where the animators get that much credit right off the bat. After that, we zoom in on Raggedy Ann and dissolve into the animated world.
Grandpa,
where she promptly comes to life with the voice of Didi Khan, who you may know as Frenchie from Grease and Stacy Jones from Shining Time Station. I gotta throw this out there, this is spot-on casting. Raggedy Ann is one of those lovable characters with a really imaginative and childlike quality to her, and Didi Khan gives her exactly that kind of voice.
Lots of different things. Some are real for sure, strange.
And I can't deny, it's just adorable to listen to.
Marcella gone, for sure?
Hang on, this reminds me of a certain other movie.
Yep, the coast is clear, ain't it?
All the other toys are curious about what Raggedy Ann sees when Marcella brings her outside all the time, which prompts the... Oh, God, these two.
What did you do? Wow.
You know, we're not gonna deal with these two. It's way too early to give the audience nightmares. So Raggedy Ann answers the question with the first of many songs. Heavy emphasis on the word many.
Happiness we could share.
What do I see? It's a face as smiling and as hopeful as I know a face could be. Sing something.
Ah! Raggedy Ann is trying to steal my soul!
That's what I see.
Well, that was pointless, but it's a cute song, I'll buy it. Suddenly, they notice a huge box over in the corner, where a pair of feet are sticking out from underneath. And the Witches of Oz just can't escape getting smushed, can they? Actually, it's none other than Raggedy Andy.
I was on the floor here doing my push-ups when wham, bam, everything went dark and I was squashed by that.
That's Marcella's birthday present.
What do I care? I spent the whole day under that thing.
What's in
As it turns out, today is Marcella's 7th birthday, and the box contains a doll from Paris.
Just what we need around here. Another darn doll.
This prompts Andy to go off on a whiny tangent, complaining about how he's one of the few people in the room to have a hypothetical dick. I'm kidding, of course, but that does lead us into another song.
Well, you can push me, shove me, turn me around, but I'm no girl's toy. You can tie me, toss me, upside or down, but I'm no girl's toy.
As pointless as this song is, I'll admit it is pretty fun to watch. The animation on Andy is really smooth, elaborate, and overall really impressive, and it gives off just the right energy to his number and his character. Just then, they hear Marcella coming back upstairs and rush back to their places. Again, this reminds me of something else, but I can't remember what it was. Marcella opens the box to reveal her present, a porcelain doll named Babette. She leaves the room again, and the rest of the toys promptly go over to break the ice. Oh, I remember now. This is exactly like where the toys come from.
Ooh, but who are you? I'm just a rag dolly, happy and smiling all day.
Okay, we are less than 20 minutes into this movie, and we've already had 3 musical numbers that do what would only take a few lines of dialogue to accomplish, and have all done nothing to advance the plot. Speaking of which, where is the plot? Anyway, during this number, we're introduced to the movie's main antagonist, Captain Contagious, and his irritating parrot companion, Wheezy. Guess what his shtick is? Unfortunately, Babette can't stop dreaming about life in Paris and rudely brushes everyone off.
I never saw such things. I go to bed now. I do not wish to be disturbed.
But that doesn't stop the captain from falling in love at first sight. God damn it, movie, what did I just say about songs? Also, Captain, stop pelvic thrusting, it's making me uncomfortable.
A miracle! All I dreamed is counting.
Sure is a picture.
Great. Now even the movie is getting tired of its own musical numbers, and it's cutting away from them. So the captain tricks the toys into breaking him out of the snow globe.
Look out!
Wait, why did the captain's ship suddenly grow like 3 times in size? Also, why is Babette suddenly the same size as the captain, even though earlier she was shown to be like 3 times larger? And how is that broken snow globe somehow flooding this entire room? And am I really questioning the logic in this movie? It's Raggedy Ann and Andy. It doesn't deserve my questions. But faster than you can say, stop fucking singing! The captain swipes Babette and, quote-unquote, sails outside.
What happened?
My same question, Andy.
Poor Marcella. The captain just ran off with her birthday present.
Just get her a Barbie. She'll never be able to tell the difference. Disco Barbie hasn't sold too well, so you should easily be able to find one of those.
Lots of scary things out there, Annie.
Oh, no. Fuck these two. So naturally, Ann and Andy elect to venture out to rescue Babette. So they wander through the deep, dark woods where...
Times when
Another problem is, if you haven't guessed yet, the musical numbers. Not just the overabundance of them, but how they're staged. Now, in most musicals, the musical numbers, big or small, have to be staged properly to give off the right mood. But here, it's kind of sloppy a lot of the time. Now, I'm not saying this for all of the songs, but then you have numbers like Candy Hearts and Paper Flowers. The song is focused on Andy making it clear to his sister that there's nothing to be afraid of as long as he's there to protect her, and the same applies vice versa. But all they really do throughout the song is just carefully wander through the forest as if there were no song going on. And when they do break into a pleasant dance, we're left seeing it from very, very far away. I'm not joking, this one shot goes on for about a whole solid minute. So after that endurance test, they run into a camel with wrinkled knees named the Camel with Wrinkled Knees. How original. So what's his story?
I've been running and chasing after my caravan of camels.
What caravan?
But where?
What the hell?
Up in the sky. All a-dancing and a-singing and a-smiling at me.
And if you think that's the weirdest thing in this movie so far, give it a few more minutes.
How can you be smiling? How can you be singing? How can you be anything but low down, saggy and blue?
Wow, this movie is dragging so much now, it's turned Ann and Andy into robots. That brings me to another issue with this film. The animation is all over the place. Sometimes it's really smooth, detailed, and really pleasant to look at, which is exactly what you'd expect from Richard Williams. Other times it looks really cheap and sloppy, like something you'd be more likely to see from a second-rate holiday special. And sometimes it looks like it's trying way too hard to be impressive in pseudo 3D. The differences in quality are incredibly noticeable and jarring, and it's kind of a mess in that regard. This is particularly evident in the Camel's number, Blue. The camel is singing this downbeat tune about how he's wandering around by his lonesome, longing for a family that will love him as much as his former owner did. Sure, alright, it's a nice little song, and it looks pretty too, with all its appropriately blue and lush backgrounds. Unfortunately, it falls flat, partly because it keeps cutting back to Ann and Andy either just blankly observing him, or happily dancing to his sad song. Insensitive much? Either way, Ann and Andy are touched by the camel's song, and offer to bring him back with them to Marcella's house. This, of course, gets his hippie family in the sky fantasy going again. Oh yeah, and Andy agrees. Now, at this point, you may say to yourself, oh, the movie's not that good, but I can't say it's not harmless. I mean, I don't see how this is gonna give my kids nightmares. And then, this happens. So this abomination is called the Greedy, a living, breathing pit of candy whose priorities are obsessive overeating and haunting you in your nightmares. He explains through, take a guess, that he wants more than anything else a sweetheart. Dude, I've got the perfect match for you. He appears to take this too literally and goes for Raggedy Ann's candy heart, but ends up getting buried in even more taffy. And what did that scene have to do with anything? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's where this movie really flies off the rails. Not that I'm implying it was running smoothly to begin with. Admittedly, the animation in the Greedy sequence is undoubtedly remarkable, but outstanding visuals aren't completely effective if they feel like they're just there to amaze you and nothing more. From what I've read, some of the crew of this film admitted this scene was pointless, but Richard Williams insisted it be kept in because so much hard work went into animating it. And while I can appreciate that, it's still completely unnecessary. It doesn't advance the story whatsoever, and no mention of it is made again afterwards. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking of, but I already used a Nostalgia Critic joke in my last review, so let's just move on. It seems like the gang finally has a moment to breathe after all that insanity when... Ah!
Oh, this is too good to be true. Stick 'em up.
Kidding.
Bang! The flag says you need help.
You need help.
Clearly nobody used that gun on the filmmakers. So this guy is Leonard Looney, or should I say Sir Leonard Looney, who confronts the gang and bombards them with a collection of gag shop greatest hits. And if that wasn't enough, it's time to get creepy again.
The reason that is cause I love you. The reason that is cause I care. And every mad invention I bring to your attention is just to show how much I need you there.
Fuck this shit! Unfortunately for them, they get sucked into this... I don't fucking know. So after an MC Escher-esque chase scene, made up from the table scraps of the one from Thief and the Cobbler, they wind up in Looney Land, ruled by the all-powerful King Cuckoo, and that's spelled with K's. No, I'm not going there. Wow, look at this wacky-looking kingdom they've got here. Yep, look at all that goofy architecture. Yeah, another problem. In both this and the greedy scene, and also some of the forest scenes, they must have really skimped on the background department because it's nothing but empty black... well, nothing. Not only does that create a lot of disorientation as to where each character or thing is standing in the scene, but it just looks so barren and lifeless against all the mayhem going on in front of it. Now, I can understand it kind of with the greedy scene. I mean, with all that movement, they probably didn't want to spend more sleepless nights drawing thousands of moving backgrounds. But in Looney Land, it's not like there's much camera movement at all to complicate things in that way. Couldn't they at least have put in some buildings or castles or giant robots or something? I don't know. I feel like I'm in a best left unmentioned part of the Upside Down. So, again, you know the drill. The king's problem is, he's short.
It's impossible to
That's
be
it.
Lord of everything you see. Then you're down so far you can't see far at all.
Jesus, if this movie had any less of a point, it would be banished by the evil count from the land of Point, from Harry Nilsson's The Point. You get my point? But we learn that whenever the king sees something really funny, part of his body inflates like a balloon. And here I am wondering how in the hell DeviantArt isn't all over this movie.
There's nothing funny enough to keep all of me big enough, long enough.
So, penis envy?
Oh, if I could only achieve total hilarity, complete hysteria, and uncontrollable laughter, I know all of me would expand to the size I am destined to be.
Movie, 2 dick jokes per episode is my limit. Stop tempting me.
Making fun of other people never made anybody bigger than anybody else.
No.
No, nobody ever gets out of here. You gotta stay to keep me laughing. And when I no longer find you funny, you will become one of them.
This presents a problem, so you know what that means. Pie fight time! You know what this scene could really use? Jack Lemmon.
Brandy! Cash! Roll more brandy! Run! I never mix my pies!
So the gang sneaks outside and gets away via the Yellow Submarine's aborted stepchild, but King Cuckoo enacts a diabolical plan to get him.
Celeste, laugh.
He calls a sea monster or something named Gazooks to help him out with his little scheme.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Meanwhile, the gang finds the captain's ship, traveling at a speedy 12 frames per second. But, what a twist, Babette has taken over as captain. Why? I don't know!
Stop that! You're not going into a song while I'm here.
Turns out, trapped down below are the captain and Wheezy. You know, the supposed villains of this movie. Remember them? That brings up another big issue. The movie has no idea what its stakes are supposed to be. Wasn't this all about rescuing Babette from the captain? So what's with all these pointless detours like the greedy and this whole subplot with King Cuckoo and the last laugh and everything? This is the first we've seen of the captain in nearly 40 minutes. Nothing is established in that gap of time to warrant this out-of-nowhere plot point shift. If you want us to care about the problem at hand, you have to better establish the consequences of it if it's not resolved. All that's really at stake here is if they can't save Babette, oh no, Marcella will be upset if she comes back and Babette's gone. Speaking of Marcella, we never see her again until the very end, and she's given an absolute minimum amount of character development. Heck, not even enough for her to really count as a character. She's just a plot device. How are we supposed to be expected to feel bad for Marcella if we barely know anything about her to begin with? Bottom line, the film doesn't give us enough reason to even care if the heroes win or lose.
You're my friend.
Stop it! Stop it!
The gang boards the ship and tries to bring Babette home, but she's still just a standoffish, self-centered bitch, so she has them all tied up. But the captain and Wheezy come and rescue them because I guess they're good guys now. But Gazooks arrives and snatches up everyone on board.
Okay.
So, what's King Cuckoo's big plan to get the last laugh? Gazooks tickles everyone. And the king finds this so hilarious, he literally inflates like a hot air balloon. God damn it, movie, I already made a DeviantArt joke, stop tempting me! But Wheezy, deciding to be useful for once, reverse kamikazes into the king, causing him to explode, resulting in...
What are you doing out here?
What?! This was all happening in her backyard. Why is there such a huge difference between the size of that ocean and this tiny pool? How did they go all the way through the forest but still end up back here? Did they even actually get to the forest? Where the hell was Looney Land located out here? Or the MC Escher mansion? What about the Greedy? Where was he supposed to be? Was he just a melted puddle of Halloween candy? Was he even real at all? How do they explain King Cuckoo? Was he a faulty Nazi balloon? Do those even exist? What about Gazooks? I mean, he might be that deflated pool toy, I guess, but how are we supposed to know that? Why is the captain's ship so small compared to the dolls? How did he even fit on board that thing? Why did it go from day to night and then day again? Why is Marcella just now showing up? Did she have a sleepover at a friend's house? Did anyone in the real world see any of this shit going on? Does anyone else know about Looney Land or the Greedy or... What? Oh, right. Sorry. Excuse me. Anyway, Marcella brings them all back inside, except for the poor camel, who's left to go into his family hallucination again. Jesus, what did his last owner's mother do to him?
Dear Raggedy Ann, I am sorry I caused such trouble.
Oh, that's all right, Babette.
Yeah,
What do you
but...
mean, all right? Look at the mess we were in just 'cause of her.
Thanks, Andy.
You are quite right, Andy.
Babette, you're one of the most courageous persons I have ever met.
Based
Oh,
on what?
you will be-
I still love you, Babette.
You are a very romantic man, Captain.
I'm sorry, what changed here? 1 minute ago, they couldn't get along with each other. Next... Why am I still asking questions? The movie's almost over. Time for the finale.
Quiet fireside, doors that open wide, smiles to welcome me home. Hands to take my hand, hearts to understand what it means to be home.
I'm not gonna lie, this song is honestly kinda touching. It's comforting to listen to, and after all the batshit insanity that came before it, it's a nice song to end things on. So they bring the camel inside and they happily accept him into the family.
Everybody, This is our friend.
Whoa, Camel, we gotta get you off that LSD. And everything is all candy hearts and paper flowers again. The end. Upon release, the movie was not that well received by critics, their main gripes being its lack of focus, bad pacing, weird and disturbing moments, and the overabundance of songs. All of which are perfectly valid points. There's hardly any real stakes in the plot. Ann and Andy are hardly developed outside of a few throwaway points like the paper flower. The obstacles they run into have little relevance to the main conflict at hand and merely slow the film down even further, not to mention make it even more nightmarish. The songs, with a few exceptions, are all forgettable and pointless and do next to nothing to advance the plot. The animation is inconsistent, ranging from nice and impressive to sloppy and robotic. So overall, the movie is just a mess. Well, that movie was certainly a roller coaster of what the fuckery. I need a palate cleanser. Something much more grounded, but not too much. What's on the agenda for next episode? Oh boy. This one's for you, Mom.